Hey there, y'all. Y'all. Language is funny. Um, oh, jeez. Well, naturally, my heart and soul goes out to everybody that's here, right? Why we're all here, dancing to the music, because we are what love is. It goes on forever, gifting energy, right? That's the simple side of things. I could have said that when I was 4 years of age. Hey, now I know who you are. You're a gifter. Yeah, right. I'm a gifter. Not a grifter, but a gifter. Gifting energy. Gifting music. Power plants, musical plants, right? But I just watched a very short little bit of a video where a lady was talking about, and we hear a lot of that depending on what you happen to use your mind's energy to experience in your mirror. Others who've talked about do what makes you happy, right? I use it usually when I end a video, be good to yourselves, right? I remember, what's his name? Brandon Shearer, whatever. Do what excites you, right? But I can also do what's called a still point. I spend a lot of time in myself, just going deep into my own heart and soul, just to feel, being in a state of spiritual being with my soul, being in a state of pure peace. And when your consciousness, which is your soul consciousness, which is the essence of your spirit or the nature of your spirit, is experiencing a state of complete peace, which is balance of the spheres of light, the fire letter codes in the circles of light, the spheres of light. So we know, for those that have experienced being or having or experiencing a state of peace, which is a peace of mind, your mind is in a state of peace because your energy field is in a state of peace. And I used to say, because it's true, because I experience it this way, using the words to describe it the way I experience it, is a timeless place, and it's timeless state of space because it's not based on time. It's timeless. Less time. No time. You're in a state of peace with our Creator, the One, which is what love is, that goes on forever, gifting love energy. Because that's the energy that we run on at the center of a sphere. Right? So sometimes when I see the words that come up in the English language, when we talk about, for example, the brain circuitry, and what we think, because thoughts are energy, and then we have what we feel, emotion, which is the flow of the energy in motion, the energy that is flowing in motion. So the energy that is flowing as the music is the spirit that is playing the music. So the spirit is a musician. The spirit that is in the musical sphere of light. So the light, which is what love is, because it's pure energy, is on fire to dance. Have you ever experienced the spirit and seen the spirit? Experience the spirit in your mirror of the spirit that is in the fire dancing. Whipping around. Vortexes, eddies like an editor. Wow, the fire is editing the torsion field life book I'm experiencing. You're on fire. That little pink Energizer bunny is on fire. Yeah, that's why I do this. That's a symbol. I did that the other day. And I did that the other day as a visual sign that I'm experiencing more goddess energy in me being on the big island. Because I love to feel the feminine energy going up. Because I realize in different places, but the way that the cold fusion and the hot fission works, the way that I'm experiencing what others are experiencing, I'm experiencing them using their electrons, the force side, to protect what they are because they realize they're in a hostile environment. Right? Instead of letting go. Experience the flowers. Be in love with the flowers. The X and Y chromosomes, like in Chrome. Right? So it's just like when I was a child, right? I've mentioned this story before. The creative side, the birth giver side, right? Of being balanced between the girl and the boy. So there's just as much a girl as there is a boy in me. So when you see the Tree of Life creation in that movie called The Knowing, you see the little boy holding hands. They're holding hands. They're connected in energy between the boy and the girl. So just like when I was 6 years old and I met a beautiful spirit who was so creative and had so much fire. Whoa, you got fire, the spirit in you. Wow. Let's go create a universe together. Yeah. So this is spiritual energy communication with two souls that are on fire to go create a universe together. Yeah. Because they acknowledge who they are in spirit. In spirit, which is how powerful the fire is in that spirit, which is a measurement of how much light that little girl was running on, and an acknowledgement of my own spirit with my soul, how much fire I'm running on. So when they get together to be a blast furnace and become one, that's a monopole. That's a lot of fire. Yeah. That's a real living star, right? That's a power plant. That is a powerful musical plant. The plant your feet on the rock. Experience the energy zone. Z. What a day. I felt colder this morning. You know, even though I got a little fan running up here, see this? And then out there, the sun's out there. Now, according to their temperature, it's 75, 76 degrees outside. And you think, hey, that's warm. Yeah, right? So it's funny how the weather works over here on this island. For example, I grew up in Southern California, right, during the 50s and 60s. And even in January, we used to wear 100% cotton T-shirts before they went to all the synthetic crapola, right, that the body wants to kick out for obvious reasons. Well, thanks to my uncle, right, who was on my, that would be my aunt's side of the family, who married Wallace B. Carruthers, who ended up being a chemist for DuPont. You know who DuPont is, right? And why they came out with all the modeling stuff, right? See, that's what it is. See, the magazine is like a mirror, like an AI mirror. It says, okay, this is who we are, right? And then you make a choice on whether or not you want to model that, right? So you know what a model is, right? So the model, a designer comes out with a particular brand that they sell, And then they put it together with fabric and the design, and then it becomes a form, color, shape, and form of an apparel, which is like a costume, that the being, whether it's a mannequin in a store, we used to call that window dressing before they ever came out with computers in the 1970s and 80s when they went from DOS into Windows. And you walk down the street in the 1950s and they called it window dressers. They actually had advertisement looking for window dressers. Is that why they call them mad men? Yes, exactly. Mad, ma-D, men, geek men. Yes. So what you have here is what we call a model. Now, would you like to model that? Well, see, if they model it for you, and then you decide, hey, I'm going to copy what that is, then they'll say, hey, listen, all you got to do is go to Nordstrom's, or what's the other high-end store, Neiman Marcus, right? Or you can go to Bullock's, right? Or what's the other one? Dillard's, right? Macy's in New York City, right? Ever been to Macy's in New York? And you can get in there, just even down here, they want $40, okay, for a shirt. And yet, you can go down to a fabric store. There's a big fabric store right in Hilo, and go pick up some fabric for maybe $4 or $5, right? And you don't even need to get a pattern that somebody else made. You could take that pattern and use your own creative mind and decide to make your own headdress and your own costume, just like the native Indians do. Form follows function mathematically, doesn't it? Yeah. Math doesn't lie. That means the numbers don't lie. That means the energy, which is numbers, don't lie, in the form, shape, and color that we present ourselves in. And you can sort of get an idea on who's who by virtue of experiencing that in our mirrors, right? So you see how the modeling works. You know, predictive quantum mapping modeling. Yeah, hey, they're copying everything that we're putting out there. That's good. They're going to copy everything that we do, which is what we are. So they don't know the difference between what they are and we are. Well, that's called assimilation. That's a course, right? That's called programming. So this is why, you know, and you can measure this, because I was measuring this when I was a kid. How many people own this particular model of car? Well, let's see here. General Motors produced 476,000 of Chevy Impalas. How many people bought that model? Whoa, they all want to drive that model. They're all modeling that. Yes. Oh, well, who's this? Well, this guy made this in his garage. It doesn't look like anything that came out of one of those motor companies. Machines programming other machines? Yeah, he came up with his own design. Oh, but you cannot drive that down our roads without permission. You need a permission slip, a permit. And that's called a rule-based function. You got to follow the rules. You got to follow our rules, because our AI runs on rule-based functions, which is an API interface, an application program interface. Just like when you go to work for them, you fill out an application, right? Sign on the X, the dotted line, which means sign to be controlled by the AI, which means you got to follow the rules. Because if you don't, now you got to pay the AI in electrons that your cells run on, by the way. So that's how everybody's held captive, is by the rules, which are the permits to do everything in their world. Wow, that's inverted. Precisely correct. Because we don't charge you for nothing. We gift everything away, which means we don't put anything that's in nature, colors, leeches, and everything else. How am I going to get to know a bear? If a bear cannot freely communicate with me what a bear does, right? Well, you can experience a bear, being with a bear, when a bear is a free spirit. You try and put a collar and a leash around a bear, that bear is not going to be very happy, any more than a cat would be, or a bird would be, I would be, or you would be, right? So what are they in fear of? Why are they in fear of letting go of your consciousness, your soul consciousness, to experience you freely expressing yourself in whatever way you do, whatever way you want to express yourself? Because the manner in which you're expressing yourself in matter form, which are matter codes, you're not doing any harm to nobody, because the energy that is represented by what I use to communicate with as a creative mind engine is what love is. Okay, so I don't live in fear of being able to show what it is I look like and whatever color I choose, because I can present myself as a flower in a garden to you. Right? Of course. That's what an original musician is. See? So what happens is, because I experienced this in childhood, they were in fear of creatively expressing themselves in color, shape, and form presentation. Because of what others would think about who they are, that they did that freely, because they're not following the rules. Now you're getting into all the programming. So that's why, as a child, this may not sound like it was born out of love, but when you're on a spiritual battlefield, you got to remember, this is like measuring who's who. And one of the ways it's easy to test it is what the reaction state's going to be if somebody else sees you do something that is out of ordinary, or you did something that is unpredictable. Precisely. That's why I was asked a few years ago, where are you going next? It's called turning on a dime. You know what turning on a dime is? Wow. All of a sudden, that particular geometric pattern decided to just go off and do something totally different than what it was doing 5 minutes ago, 10 days ago, a year ago. Yeah, remember, how many hats do you wear? How many things do you want to be? And how many shape, form, and colors would you like to present yourself as love energy? That's why nature is a teacher. She's a teacher. See? You get to see all the different forms and shape in which a goddess is presenting herself by the healing energy that exists within nature and all the different forms, shape, and colors in which she is presenting herself. Wow. Yep. That's no separation. That's what it means to be the energy that's flowing through everything that is alive and living in nature in a natural world. Which means I can express myself however I choose to express myself, where love is the absence of fear in which to do that. Because if you're experiencing any resistance in which to do that, out of fear in which to do that, you're allowing what others are in resistant mode becomes our resistant mode, because we realize that if I did that or I didn't do that based on your resistance to that, what you experience in your mirror versus what I experience in my mirror, where I'm free to do that as a creative artist. That's right. That's how it works. And I know that because I experienced that, because experience is the teacher from which I learned, because I was experiencing all the resistance in all the others to truly and freely express themselves, the creative side of who they are with all the colors that they have available to them in which to do that, because they didn't want to express the one. Which means if I'm a boy, I dare not express myself with the creative energy that I have available to me, that I can see in the way that girls can recreate themselves 100 times in a day. Right? Even the girl that I was with, Misha, was actually quite amazed that she could recreate herself 5 or 6 times in the course of a day, which is called an image change, a presentation change. Right? But you could see that she had the ability to do that and why she was doing that. Right? But so much of it was sadly driven by trying to attract male energy that is represented by the money side of the material side in order to perpetuate itself in that direction. And why, sadly and painfully, she's sitting in a jail. Because of what her mind is held captive to, which is the money. Which is the other side. which is the reverse flow side. As a result of the tension and the resistance that she's experiencing in her, to be free of that, which is sort of like saying that in her own mirror, in her own way, she's holding her own self captive without actually realizing it, to let it all go. Because so much of the programming of what she's experiencing that's held within her cellular memories, it goes back to her entire bloodline, is what's holding her captive. So that means that her mind's energy is held captive by the race from which she was born, that was coded through the language of that DNA from that particular race that has fallen. That's right. I didn't actually put that together until I was able to put that together when I realized that the Anunnaki, when Patty had said, and remember, I don't measure this by the letters and the sounds of the name Anunnaki. Okay? I measure it in energy terms. What is our mind's energy doing with its energy? And what it's doing with its energy, is it violating the one, the code, the highest superconductor code of experiencing what love is? Are they using love energy to experience who they are by virtue of what they are in energy that I experience in my energy as a result of having contact with them? So we're simply talking energy to energy, spiritual energy to spiritual energy contact. Now I'm aware of what you are. Now you're aware of what I am in energy. What do you use your energy for? Now I know, because I get the feedback. That's the result in my mirror by having a connection in my mirror to their mirror. So you realize how that works between mirrors, which are magnets. So now we're experiencing the difference in magnets and magnet speeds, which is the acceleration of learning, in which they're learning through love to become what love is by running a higher speed magnet. So instead of being falling, they're rising. By virtue of learning faster through what love is to become what love is, now you're experiencing love in them. I experience in me with our mirrors. When love is love in the mirrors, then we're all experiencing the one from which all love creates, the hottest engine from which we're all experiencing what love is throughout the all creation. So I simply just make it that simple, because love is really the law of least effort. And when you're experiencing the flow of least effort, it's extremely painful when you're experiencing everything that isn't, as a result of what happened to them. Because now you're experiencing the resistance in them to experience more light. Because they live in fear of experiencing that energy. So when you realize the resistance that it's experiencing as a result of fractals, then you realize that it's returned to fire, which means it's being converted back to what the light is. So it experiences what light is. It was born out of fire and water that keeps it cool with oil. The goo, the resin. Goo codes, go green, emerald green, golden fire dragons. Pink rose, a diamond crystal spiral pink rose, baby. Da 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 da. Have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful day. Singing in the rain. We love you, Rick.